spooky friends. Welcome to 31 Days Till Halloween. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos just as much as I am making these videos for you guys. I am looking forward in this video, like every other video I've been making for you guys. I am going to be talking about Ed Gein. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, so I am sorry, so bear with me when I say his last name. Ed was also known as the Butcher of Plainfield. He was born in August of 1906 in Wisconsin and died of to the end of July of 1804 in Wisconsin in a mental health place. Ed was an American serial killer whose gruesome crimes that gained worldwide and inspired numerous different kinds of books and horror films. The three of the most influenced horror/thriller films that ever made was Psycho in 1960, that directed by Alfred Hitchcock and based on Robert Powerful book. In 1959, The Texas Chainsaw, and in 1974, and The Silence of the Lambs in 1991. Ed was endured a difficult childhood, and his father was an alcoholic, and his mother was verbally abusive towards him. Ed nevertheless idolized her, a fact the parental concern his elder brother Henry, who occasionally confronted her in the appearance. In 1944, Henry died in mysterious situation during a fire near the family's farm in Plainfield. Although Gein reported his brother missing to the police, and he was able to lead them directly to the burned body when they arrived. Despite the bruises that was discovered on the victim's head, the death was ruled by an accident. The death of Gein's mother in 1945 left him a virtual hermit. Over the years, he carpeted off the areas of the house that his mother had used most frequently, preserving them as something of a shrine. Ed attracted the attention of the police in 1957 when a hardware store owner named Mr. Boren went missing. Ed had seen with her shortly after her disappearance, and was law enforcement officials visit his farm when they find her body. Sorry, not Mr. Mrs. By the way, she had fatal shots and a lot of injuries. Of his home showed that he had robbed graves and collected different kind of body parts, which he used to make a lot of household items such as clothing and masks. Also discovered when the property was the head of Mary Hagen, a tavern operator who had disappeared in 1954. In 1958, Jen's House of the Horrors was destroyed by a fire. The origins of the witch remained unclear. Ed admitted to killing 2 women, both of whom allegedly reviled his mother, but pled not guilty by reason of instantly. In the late 1957, he was deemed unfit for trial and was confined in various psychiatric institutions. In about 1968, however, after it was determined that he could participate in his own defense, he was put on trial. He was found guilty of killing Warren, and reportedly due to money reasons, a prosecutors only tried 1 murder, but when it was deemed insane at the time of the crime, he returned to the mental hospital where he remained and stayed until his death in 1984. He was buried next to his family in the cemetery of Plainfield Cemetery in the now unmarked grave. When it comes to Ed Orange story, his mother was one of the scariest details. A familiar figure, thanks to a psycho and Silent of the Lambs, both of which have characters she inspired. She was domineering and deeply religious woman who despised men and traits she passed on her son. Obsessed with the concepts of a lot of different kind of sins and whatnot, she was determined to keep her sons Ed and his brother Henry away from the world, to save them from overall all the negative things, raising them in a isolated farmhouse. She was incredibly overly protective and taught them that women were evil and vessels of the sin. When she died, he boarded her up in her rooms, leaving them untouched in her memory of and buried with her instructive and read mother. As a child, Ed snuck into the Slanger house on his farm, where he saw his mother slangering a pig, which reportedly led to him having his first happiness, per se. His relationship with intercourse didn't get any less warmth when he was growing up. When he was 12, his mother found him pleasuring himself in the bathroom and responded by grabbing his down there, when he was more likely died a virgin. Although Ed's older brother's death was ruled at the time as accidental, it was more possible Henry was an accidental of his victim. Unlike Ed, he had his first outside had life out of the farm, and his mother even planning to move with a woman he had been dating. He also disbarred his mother to Ed. In 1944, Ed and Henry were clearing vegetarians on the farm by burning it. When in the process, the fire got overly out of control. When firefighters came to put it out, Ed claimed that he and Henry had become separated. Henry was later found dead. His death was deemed an accident, and chemicals was given as the official cause of death, yet he had bruises on his head, which kind of suggested foul play, as his father also died by this point. Henry's death left him alone with his mother. After his mother had died, Ed spent most of his time reading about the human body and Nazi and consuming lots of sexual porn. His visits to his mother's grave kind of went into robbing it. When he dug her corpse, removed her head, and took it back home with him. From there on, he started digging up different kind of graves of all of them were women, and around his mother's age were bore enough resemblance of her to remind him of her. He found his targets by reading the recent obituaries. Even though he overall denied having intercourse with bodies, he did admitted to dancing with them in the cemetery. When the police officers investigated him, they found that the remains of multiple women in his house, he seemingly killed at random and only knew 2 of his victims. Mary Hagen was the owner of the tavern Gein frequented, and whom he had said to be fixed by. Her physical resembled his mother, but had a completely opposite personality from his mother. When investigators later went to his house, they found her head in the paper bag. He later confessed on shooting her. And over time, a 58-year-old Bernsey warden owned the local warehouse. Gein was the last person to see her alive after he went in to buy an antifreeze. When the police went to investigate, they found Warren in his kitchen. Her gutted body was suspected from the ceiling by the ankles. Her head was found separately in a box, which she also held her intestines. Also, The most infamous and horrifying detail of his case are what happened to the bodies of his female victims. The bones and the skulls were made into uncials and bowls. Human skin was used to upholster furniture like chairs and a bin. A woman's lips had been turned into certain pull. There was also a belt made of their nipples. Face had been used to make a lampshade. But most horrifying of all, his unlimited aim was to create a skull suit he would wear so he could become his mother. Police found gloves and a corset and mask made from the dead's faces, as well as a vest and other different things off of their dead bodies. From that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and whatnot, and if you aren't already subscribed or yet enjoy my videos, please hit the subscribe button. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of the year. And from that being said, I hope you guys will see me tomorrow, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow also. And don't forget to stay and keep being spooky. Bye.